Hello.
Hello. So, good afternoon, folks. I have Josef Fares with me, acclaimed film director, but actually, I think more acclaimed game creator.
Yeah.
Entrepreneur. And so we're going to kind of have a bit of an exploration of the things that inspire him and the journey he's taken. And then towards the end, hopefully, we'll have a bit of time for some questions from the floor. So I'd like to kick off essentially by sort of saying, you've had a very successful film career, tipped by Variety magazine as the one to watch, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So what made you make that switch, or what inspired you to switch into interactive media?
Well, the thing is, oh shit, I talk loud. The thing, I mean, first of all, I have to say, like, I'm a huge, passionate gamer. So that was the first thing. Like, even when I was born in Lebanon, so I started, like, I loved, like, game during, even from the Atari time. And I've always been talking about this, and every time I was doing interviews, making movies and so on, I was always talking about games, how much I loved them. I always made sure to have a console with me during the shooting of a movie and so on and so on. So it's been a big passion for me. But actually working with it was something I remember, like, coming in. It's going to be long answers. You have to stop me otherwise. So the thing is, like, the problem was, like, coming into the gaming industry was that, in general, I think people had some kind of prejudice that because of a filmmaker, you have a different, you don't know how to make a game and so on and so on. But I kept pushing for it, and luckily, there was a guy that had kind of a small school. I think it was in Karlshamn, and I made a prototype. That was brothers, and that was a dream come true for me to make a prototype. So then the switch happened, and then I was like, shit, I really want to do this because I really love this, and this is a passion that's been with me since I was young, and a dream. And also, I love to tell stories, and I do believe, I said this even before I started working with games, I think the impact of what you can do with a video game, the interactivity of impacting people emotionally, could actually be a more powerful, creative tool, or whatever you want to call it. And it's interesting because we're just scratching the surface of what you can do. And I do see an ocean of a lot of creative shit that you can dive in. So sometimes I get surprised that we don't see more, but I'm very optimistic, and I hope, like, more people, do stuff that haven't been done before. Yeah. I think there has to be
pioneering that kind of
that
approach.
So that will always be my case. Whoever publisher, I'm very direct at this. Even if I sit with EA or whoever publisher it is, I'm super direct. That, look, this is how the game should be done. Will be 100% creative control, and so on and so on. And they have to understand and respect this, which is why EA has been super good. They don't say anything. So it's everything is about the creative vision. With that said, however, there is a respect that there is an economical side. I mean, we have economical, global, world right now. So I can't just, look, I'm the creative guy, just give me money, I don't give a fuck. It's not like that. So you have to respect that there's a money aspect to it. But I think in general, if those two sides meet, if the publisher understands that, all right, you know what? We're not making a game just to make money, and the gamers understand, you know what, I'm not just making a game and not caring about anything. There's a responsibility as well. So I'm saying it's a yin-yang balance.
Yeah, interesting. So
yeah.
Moving back, talk a little bit about Brothers there. So, I mean, that was your first game. First, wow. But even early on, when journalists were looking at it, there was a huge enthusiasm for the game and what it was looking to do. Do you think the game benefited from your kind of cinematic view, and the way you put films together kind of influenced how the difference of the game itself kind of brought something together?
Yeah.
Interactive media?
I think there are two things with the success of Brothers. First of all was the uniqueness of the game, and it felt fresh and unique. But also, it was also a game where it wasn't as cinematic as you see the cinematic games. It's actually more of it's actually the opposite. The growth of the character, without spoiling anything, in the end, they grow as character in an interactive way. You're actually doing it in an interactive way. And that's a huge thing. And I know, like, for a fact that moment made people, cry, or pretty much, like, feel very impacted. And that was, I think, the importance. Like, you're doing stuff in a game that you can't do in a movie. You're telling a story in a game that you can't tell in a movie. And that's what's so cool and unique about it. I remember that time when I came up with that without talking about it. I couldn't sleep that night because it was such a big moment for me. Like, wow, this is so cool to tell a story in an interactive way that you can never do in a movie. But look, here's the thing. Making a game and making a movie are two opposite things. They have some similarities, but they're two different total ways of telling stories. That's why you hear sometimes when they think in script writers who have done like major Hollywood movies, and it still doesn't become a better game because they don't understand games. For me, it's been helpful because what I know is that games are games and movies are movies. But I'm still working on trying to figure out like what can we do to make it more and more interactive, more interactivity. So that's my main focus. That was the main focus of Brothers. And I think that was part of the success of Brothers. Its uniqueness and its way of telling the story.
So kind of talking about emotions, looking at your film work, a lot of them are comedies.
Yes.
Which we haven't really seen reflected in your game work. Do you think that's an area you'll look to explore? Yes,
definitely, for sure. I mean, comedy, that's very well known in the movie industry. I mean, every actor knows it's way easier to play a very dramatic role than to play a very funny, funny role, because it's way harder to become funny if you're not funny. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, but in games there are many emotions to explore, and some of the emotions are actually a comedy. I would say that's. I know a lot of people talk about like when will we make players cry for a game. I mean, they do quite a lot for some games now, but I mean, when will we do a comedy for a game? Those things are what interest me. I mean, look, I'm not out there to make a good game or a great game. I'm there to push the boundaries. I'm there to push the industry. I'm there to question everything. Whenever everybody comes to me and says, this is how you do it, I'm like, no, it's not, because nobody knows it really. So that's what I'm here for. I love pushing these things and these questions, even if I'm not afraid of failing. It's like I don't care about it because I truly believe like if you're the energy it takes of being afraid of failing, it's way less than actually failing. I mean, actually failing, then you can take care of the shit then. Yeah. But if you're like all the time like, oh, what will happen? What, have to believe in you. I mean, it's the same with A Way Out with Brothers. Nobody believed in Brothers. I mean, of course somebody, but at the end of the day, like nobody believed in the vision. A Way Out, the same thing, co-op only, blah blah blah. But you just have to keep with it and stick with it. I think it's very important.
Yeah. So just sort of last kind of little bit linking into the film. So with the film, you know that your audience is going to sit and watch it start to finish, or you hope they're going to.
Yeah.
With games playing, people curate their own time and they play in a very different way. You might do an hour here, or you might just do 10 minutes. So how difficult was it for you to then pace the games to try and make sure that interest was kept?
This is a very interesting question that actually I've been thinking about a lot. Here's another thing that I would say. I mean, I will be generalizing a little bit. Obviously, there are like, but again, playing the game from finish to end. If you look at the statistics today of how many people finish narrative games, we're talking about narrative games like GTA 5, whatever, like God of War, the latest one, or Half-Life 2, all these type of single-player experience. You see a very low rate of a first-time play, which is absolutely nuts. Like, for instance, A Way Out. I know for a fact numbers right now, we've been doing like super good. And I heard the first fact of that 51% played through the game on PlayStation 4, which is a very good number, like a very good number. But at the same time, it's a crazy number. So half the people didn't finish the game. Now, what is that? Is that because the game is shit? No, it's not shit. And why does also Half-Life 2 have the same kind? I think Half-Life 2, I'm not going to say it's like that, but I'm quite sure it's not as high as that. So what I want to get to is that, I thought someone was talking. So what I want to get to is that the people, the focus should be on like, why are people not playing through the game? Like that should be the focus. Instead, what is it? It's a lot of talk about replayability, which I would argue, I think that probably 3 to 4% replay games, single-player games, narrative games, if even that.
It's not applicable for every style of game. A narrative.
Yeah. It's like, and they talk how long is the game all the time. Now that is added in the actual review and the actual like opinion of people. That has also evolved the development. There's like so much going on. But when you talk to people, everybody's like, yeah, I agree, but nobody's doing anything about it. So why are we putting so much content and effort when we're not even finishing games? It's a huge problem. If we had a movie, if you had Avatar, and 50% went out of the cinema, and everybody would be like, wow, 50% went out, that's good. That's a huge problem. That's insane. I mean, why are nobody there? And everybody, like, I talk to reviewers, to journalists all over the world, they're like, yeah, you're right. Like, yeah, but I'm like, write about it then. Like, let's change the mindset of it. And I'm not saying, like, of course, some multiplayer titles, we need to have this, like, keeping the players there and so on. But for the single player experience, for narrative experience, I'm sure, like, God of War, that's one of the most hyped games this year. That's probably the game of the year and so on and so on. I'm guessing, but it's not up to 40%, I would say, a one-time playthrough. And that is crazy, So to get to your question, I'm trying as much as I can to keep the experience fresh and unique and variated, to keep the player engaged and focused throughout that time. That's why I keep saying that, because one of the main questions you get is how long is the game? My counter question is like, what does it matter how long it is? How often do you question a movie how long it is? You know what I mean? What kind of experience? So everything that goes in, for instance, the game is what makes sense. So the game decides how long it needs to be. You know what I mean? And I like to keep games very fresh and unique. If you look at it, we have this huge amount of content. We have over 20,000 animation for a super small team with over 70% of interns. Like, it's about keeping it fresh and unique all the time, and keeping the players invested in the characters and in the story. And it's hard and it's tough. And sometimes, like, you have to do, and it's technical issues and blah, 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 but there's challenges. So hopefully for the next game is going to be 60%, who knows, but it's tough.
Well, and I think this last 12 months we've seen a number of games, A Way Out and Hellblade from Ninja Theory in a similar way, which are very, very high quality, AAA quality.
Yeah.
But actually much more manageable experiences in terms of size, the ability to play through the story, finish it, enjoy it. So
yeah. They had way better budget than us, though, and way more.
Yeah, that's true.
No, but I understand what you mean. Yeah.
So I think, well, maybe we're getting to a point where there is an understanding of narrative in games that allows people that makes people finish them, or people finish them because they know that it's.
I hope, because there's so much content being created that people are not experiencing, and it's so sad because there's so much effort and money put in this.
Yeah.
Just because it's almost like I sometimes relate that. Right now we have an idea because it's not a fact. If you talk to the people in here, half of them will say, I don't have time, and blah, blah, blah. It's almost like you can visualize, you have the players want a table full of food. Every food should be there, but they will only eat one little thing. As long as it's there, otherwise, and it's so sad, because all the other food will rot. That's how it feels like. And I'm not saying we shouldn't make long games. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying that if a game actually works as a narrative game, works for 50 hours, sure, have it 50. If you have a working game, 500 hours, have it 500 hours. But it's rare. It is really rare. So, but I do believe, to get back to your question, is that yes, if you that we are starting to scratch the surface on how to tell story in narrative games, but it's really scratching the surface. I think there are way more things to discover here. That's what I'm going to keep pushing for. I love it, man.
So with your games, they have features and the way you build them that are unique, are unique. Are you always Are you on the guard to make sure that they don't cross over from unique into gimmicky? Trying to include it just because.
The thing is, I'm not trying to be unique just because unique. I think actually it's harder not to be unique today in the gaming industry, because there are so much that are not explored yet. I mean, if you look at movies, it's a bit harder to become unique, because the movies has been going on for long. Many ideas have been done, but in games, I get super surprised when I see like games today. Like I see like. Again, generalizing, you have great games coming, but there's a lot of like copycats, and I get surprised. I'm like, what? There's so much things. Like I have 10 ideas in my head that kind of haven't been done before. Why not try them? Now I know it's not easy, you need money, but today it's easier to make games. And I do hope people take more risk, not only from indie developers, but of course from AAA developers. And we see small changes here and there. But I would prefer more risks. I mean, if people are considering God of War, the latest one, to be a risky project, what's the risk? It's 5 years production. There's like a huge amount of budget, and they're changing the camera, the concept God of War. I would say, sure, that's a risk from the IP, but it's still not risky. Yeah. So you know what I mean? So I would love it to be more. I think you can take more risk without like, you know, being afraid of losing, because players won't have a new experience. Players want to play something new. If you look at Minecraft, Fortnite, all those like games have become huge. Like I mean, Minecraft is even a better example. Like, I mean, if you would have pitched that, people would be like, "What the fuck is that?" You know what I mean? So, and look at this. So, uniqueness is something that players want. You know, it doesn't have to make the game different and weird and not playable and so on. You can still reach a mass market. Yeah. That's what, again, I'm talking about the balance between the. So for me, when I approach things, I just like, okay, how can we do this? How can we tell a story in a different way that haven't been told before? Okay, and every time when someone says, "This is not gonna work," that's actually a sign of it actually will work. So when someone says, I'm like, okay, sure, yeah, whatever. I don't even care. I don't take it in. It's like, but it doesn't mean that I don't take my work seriously. I question everything and turn around, but it's super important, and I think it's dangerous because you have. I mean, I've had people before I did Brothers who said that's not gonna work, blah blah blah. Now I'm the kind of person that. I mean, I'm quite confident, so I don't really care. But if you have someone that are a bit insecure and you have these people saying that to you and you listen to them, imagine how many creative ideas are getting killed by idiots. You know what I mean? Like some idiot, but I know this, I've been working 20 years, blah, blah, blah. Fuck you. Like, what is that? It's like bullshit. Like, who listens to that shit? If you have done that, go do your shit then. Don't fuck with me what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, so believe in your thing. That's what I'm saying. It's not only that I can do. I think it's easier to. It's something that you will. Just it's something that comes to you after a while. You just have to, you know.
That's partially true, isn't it? So you have a reputation anyway, and so you can be forceful, you know, and you've been around a bit, and so you can call it. You can say bullshit.
Yeah.
We have an indie developer who's just out of university a few years.
Yeah.
It's a confidence thing.
Yes, but here's the thing, because you could argue with me that I am this kind of person and it's easy for me to be confident, but that's too easy. Because before Brothers, where did I get my confidence from? Nobody believed in it. Nobody thought the game would be successful, and so on and so on. It's again about like, because I mean, I want to inspire people of like really believing in what they do. And it's easier if you have an opinion that, oh, it's easy for him because he's successful. But I am successful because I believed in my things and kept on with the original idea I have. So that's it. But that's been with me since I was young. Since I was like, I didn't have any budget. It's like, I don't know, it's always been like that. I think it's super important not to listen too much sometimes. And with that said, again, like if you talk to my team members, you might have seen me on some occasions where some people go like, oh, this guy is crazy. Yeah, I might, be a little bit crazy. But I'm very good to work with. I have one of my team members somewhere here, actually. You can ask him how good boss I am, actually.
Oh, no pressure.
Where are you? Raise your hand over there. How good I am, tell him. Yeah, exactly. You see, easy as that. No, but I'm like this hard, but I'm also like I'm a humble guy. Maybe it's not humble, confident, cocky guy. You know.
We'll take your word for that. So moving on to A Way Out. Brothers was different enough, but then A Way Out, split screen, cooperative.
Yeah.
Only.
Yes,
no
yes.
No single player.
Yes.
I think everyone, when everyone heard about it, it was like, what the.
Exactly, yeah.
But again, I guess it's this confidence thing. You kept on, and that's what it was. But it's a bold move. How did you manage to actually sell that in?
Well, the thing is, here's the good thing. What happened when I finished Brothers was that before Brothers was so hard, but after Brothers' success, it was just publishers were coming to me. So, and the good thing was that it was Microsoft at that time, it was Phil Spencer. So it was like quite high level people who want to work with me. And I was clear from the beginning. This is how it's going to be. This is how I'm going to work. There's not going to be any change of that. This is the vision. It will not change. And just a week before pretty much signing with Microsoft, they were all on it. And then EA came, and because the location in Sweden and everything, I mean, the deal was pretty much the same at that time. It changed later, but at the time it was the same. But it was better for us because we had the offices. We could sit in the DICE offices. We didn't have to worry about, you know, small stuff like cleaning and all that stuff. So it was pretty much practical details that we chose EA. But the same there. Like, this Division's idea, and this will never change. They asked the question, like, if you do a co-op only, you will lose the market. I'm like, I don't care. This is what it's going to be. It will not change. And they kept with it. And they're super surprised now because it's like been selling super well. And in a sense, A Way Out has created a subgenre which is a co-op story only. And I guarantee you, in 2 years, you will see games like that also. Like, and I think for me, because the whole essence, if you play A Way Out from the beginning to the end, you will understand the essence of the design, why it is like that. So even if someone came to me and said, here's $10 million, make a single-player campaign, I would say no. It doesn't matter. It will not happen because look, here's the thing. I'm not saying like I'm not happy because A Way Out sells good. I'm just saying that passion is what drives me. If I don't wake up feeling it in here, there's no point. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It sounds like a cliche, but it's a cliche for a reason. If you don't feel it in here, what's the point of it? And not everybody works like that. Some people have a passion in making money. Sure, fine. But for me, no. I don't believe in that if you have only passion for making money, you shouldn't be working with games. I don't think you should have a combination. You should have a belief in something. But that's my opinion, and probably a company like King wouldn't agree.
Well, yeah,
you know,
chalk and cheese, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like it's fine. Like, but it's like if I would work there, I would like why?
But then,
like, the money in the whole world would have me working there.
I mean, that's the beauty.
But not to be judgmental, it's their thing, and it's just not my thing, you know.
Yeah. And that's what's nice, is that there is a space for what you do.
Yeah, exactly. Space for everyone, yeah.
You know, that's it.
Yeah, let's.
So, I mean, in A Way Out, you were.
Yeah, you know, I say things all the time. I don't care. Don't worry about it. It's better to say. It's better to say what you think. I mean, it's like if I go around and wanting everybody to like me all the time, I'm fucked. So it's like, and not only I'm fucked, everybody's fucked. It's like that's I'd give a tip to people sometime. Like, if you focus on, you know, making everybody like you, you're gonna have a really bad life. Yeah. So just make sure to be nice and kind to the people around you, and just stay true to yourself.
And I think that was reflected in your games, and I think reflected in the success of your games, to be fair.
Yeah.
You hold true to what you believe in.
Yes.
And, you know.
Well, thank you.
It's been, well, it's working.
Yeah, it is working. But
so in A Way Out, you know, once again, you're playing with the player's emotions throughout. Is that, and so thinking about the design process, is this something that is there from the very beginning, and how do you communicate that to your team, that this is how you want the player to be hooked and to feel?
Yes, so the essence of design is there from day one, always. And I put stuff on my Twitter, like you can see the early sketches I've done in the final game. They're very, very similar, like you can see that. But the thing is, like, the good thing with the team is that quite fast we all work at the same goal, and we try to, like, this is what where we're gonna reach. So we never lose of our goal where we're going to. So we're quite free on the way there, but we're not. This is the essence. I can't really talk about it because I don't want to spoil the game. But in A Way Out, there was a certain thing that was the essence of everything, and everything was created about that. Everything that happens in the game had to do with that. So, and we discuss and we turn and we try. We had ideas. We throw some stuff. You know, it's a regular game development, but we do push the boundaries all the time. And some of the things I say to my team all the time, like, let's fuck shit up. It's like, come on, think different, fuck that, don't throw your first idea away, and so on and so on and so on, to like come up with a different way. And I do believe that we have a very good culture at Hazelight where we push the boundaries. I'm not interested in that, you know, some designer comes and like, here's how you do games, blah blah. That doesn't interest me. I want someone to like, okay, here's how you don't do a game, do that instead. You know what I mean? But again, as long as it rolls with the vision, then I'm fine. It's just that we are so early in the creative process of making games. So when someone comes to me and says, "This is how you do it," I would say, "No, it's not," because nobody knows yet. You know, there are some, you know, people saying that this is like the early days of movies, and I would agree. Yes, not only from a creative perspective, also actually from a production perspective, because we can't really calculate how long it takes to make a game, and the engines are changing all the time. I mean, if you just compare Unreal 10 years ago and now, it's a huge difference. So there's so much things happening. So nobody really knows, but there's happening. But that's also what I would say. I'm extremely proud to be part of this industry. I'm happy. I think the people are, I mean, I come from the movie industry. People are way more nice here, way more genuine, way more passionate. So there's like, that's my opinion. It's like, I'm super happy. So I might sound like a bit angry and like disappointed. It's because I have opinion about stuff. That's why.
But it's passion.
Yeah, yeah. Let's say it's,
you know, isn't it? It's, yeah. I mean,
passion, aggression. No.
Oh, yeah, yeah. But if you didn't have that, you may as well.
I'm not an aggressive guy, trust me. I'm telling you. I could be, but it's like, you know.
But I think that's what game developers share, is that passion for games.
Yes, yes.
If you didn't have that, then you may as well be making, you know, tires or whatever.
Yes, yes, exactly. But I do still feel I would love more games to be to tell different stories and feel different and make something. I mean, I still play like maybe 5 to 10 games that I feel like, wow, this is. But I would love it to be more than that. I think it could be more, because I see also a lot of games that are just like copies of others, and I wish there were more, because that what makes me happy. When I play a game is good, you become happy. You know, it's like, shit, this is good, because that's what everybody wants. We want to play great games. You know, so that's the thing. You know.
Name one of the games that's not yours.
The latest one I play is What Remains of Edith Finch. I absolutely love that one. I recommend everybody to play that. They really tried something different. The people who call it the walking simulators are actually not true. It's not a walking simulator. It's actually trying to do something very different, change the mechanic and telling a story in a different way, and it's beautiful. I really love it. That's an amazing amazing game, actually. Yeah.
So, you know, clearly you're something of a polymath. You know, you in everything. That passion drives you through all kinds of stuff, and this search for variety. So, you know, do you plan on also continuing to make films at the same time you're making games? Are you going to kind of flip-flop, or you?
I'm not sure, actually. It's so much fun to make games now. And might do a movie in the future, but I mean, it might happen. I'm not sure yet. Who knows? But right now I'm focusing on the next game, which I'm super excited about.
It's definitely the next
game.
Yes.
And it's not. It's going to be something different than A Way Out. It's.
Well, because Brothers different from Way Out. There's
yeah, there will be similarity. You will see the kind of like Hazelight. What do you used to call it?
DNA.
Yeah, DNA or something. Yeah. Or Hazelight passion in it. Or aggressiveness. No. It's you know.
So, I think a lot of us enjoyed your appearance at the Game Awards.
Yeah, exactly.
And you were talking about the Oscars and.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, so. Do you really think, do you think that's the case? Do you think we're at that point where we should have that level of recognition?
Yeah.
Celebration?
Absolutely, definitely. The movie industry should sit down a little bit and relax. Sometimes they think that sometimes they say like this, it's so much harder to make a game. My answer to you, if I'm gonna make a movie again, yes, when I want vacation, I'm gonna make a movie. That's the difference. Because I've done 6 feature movies. Every filmmaker tells you, oh, it's so hard to make a movie. It is. But comparing to games, it's nothing. Because of the interactivity, it makes sense. Because it's like releasing your audience on a set and letting them go loose. Making movies is a passive medium. You have way more control of what's going on. You know, I'm not saying it's easy. It has its, but they have longer time of production-wise, over 100 years. They have longer time of knowing stuff. They have way more educated people, like workers and so on and so on. So there's way more. What was the thing I was going to talk about? What was your question again?
About the Oscars.
Fuck the Oscars, yeah. The thing for actually what happened there, just to explain for everybody the question, that when I came there was a lot of talk on the Oscars, people comparing to the Oscar, like, oh, we're like the Oscars and Oscar. I'm like, when I was up there, you get excited. I was not on coke. I don't take drugs at all. So many people thought I was like taking drugs, but I don't. And there was so much time, and I was so excited. I'm like, fuck the Oscars. This is the shit. And here's the thing what people didn't know, because when you were there, you don't hear the audience. The audience got so excited, and I get excited. So I'm like, fuck. And they're like, yeah. And they're like, fuck. And they became more. So it's like, it was a collaborated fuck the Oscar between me and the audience. But when you look at it, you see only me going crazy about fuck the audience, because the audience actually, when you get excited from if the people here do this, we will start dancing soon. You know what I mean? So it's like, So it's like excitement. It was also like, but it's not that I have something person against the Oscars. The funny thing was that Guillermo del Toro was in the audience who won the best Oscar. Actually, later on, that was funny. And another funny thing was that actually the Oscars dropped some the viewers numbers later, so I got some reaction on Twitter like, "Look what you did!" Like, nah, but I think it's fine. Like it's I don't have. It was also like a fun thing. I mean,
yeah. It seems to me though that we're still always.
But we definitely should celebrate games and celebrate. And I don't even, if someone asks the question, is games art? I don't even answer. It's so stupid. It's like, what? Like, but it's not even worth talking about. That's how stupid it is. It's not even worth talking about. When someone asks if is game art, I think it's so stupid. Yeah. And if someone says that to you, you can just answer, do you think a painting is art? They would say yes. Well, that's this small piece of making a game, the concept art, for instance. Like it's so silly discussion. Like I mean, luckily it's going down on someone are talking about it, but of course we should celebrate games and show the respect and an effort and the sweat and the work behind it. Like people, and I feel till today when I see a game doing really bad, I can sense it in my heart because I know the amount of time and pain you put in, and like nobody cares about it, nobody plays it. It's heartbreaking, and that's today. Like when you have like thousands and thousands of games releasing every year, and you have a team that's been working super hard, you know, have mortgage, blah blah blah, and then everything goes to hell. It's not fun, man. It's like that's really bad.
So I mean, I think we're our own worst enemies in some respects with regards to the film industry, because we're always kind of looking up or kind of thinking we're aspiring to be that thing rather than us being our own thing.
Yes, we are our own thing. It's not that, I mean, I think they will start looking at games soon.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the movie industry, it's kind of it's in the panic mode now. I mean, you look at it, you have the Marvel movies and you have some others, but other than that, it's the TV that's coming. So they have the Hollywood industry has become just an industry, you know, pretty much. So I think there's going to be a change over there. It's already happening. If you're looking how it's going more and more to TV, you see the stars and everything going there. The budget's getting bigger. So there is a need of change for the movie industry. And I mean, I haven't been part of it for a couple of years, but that's what I hear from colleagues of mine.
Sure.
And it's a pain in the ass, and I know a couple of directors work in Hollywood. It's like, oh shit, you hear these meetings, and oh shit, I don't even want to talk about it, man. It's
okay.
I wait till the day if I make a movie in Hollywood, and we'll sit in the meeting, and they say, this is the way we're gonna do it, and they will say yes to it.
We look forward.
I'm telling you, yeah, that's gonna happen.
Okay, so I think, I mean, should we open it up to the floor to see if there's questions from you guys? If you stick your hand up, we have some microphones.
Nobody answered all the questions.
There you go.
All right. You were talking about single-player storytelling and multiplayer storytelling nowadays. The problem that I see with games and storytelling is that once you've played it through, you know the story. So what is your solution to how can you perturb the story and let the player just drive it forward? I mean, there are a couple of games coming out. Nier Automata was one of those, where you could play another character, but it's still the same story. So how do you tackle that problem? Well,
again, I don't really care so much replayability. The question I take extremely serious right now is the fact that people are not playing the game through once. I would love to see Nier Automata's playthrough. I would argue, I would think that it's not more than 50%. That for me is a bigger problem than having the very few percent that's replaying the game. I'm not saying and for some players it's good, but I'm saying the effort that could probably go in. I mean, so my goal is that people actually 100% play through the game. That's something I really care about. So the replayability for me, and also time-wise, if you look at like all we gamers, when we get older, we get kids, we get fat, we don't have time to put in like 100 hours for every game. There's so much content out there. I mean, there's a known fact that people have their wish list now. Oh, it's on my wish list, I'm going to play. We have so much games to play. So I would rather focus like how do we make gamers stay and play through the game? Why are gamers just playing half of it? I don't know.
Do you think maybe some of that problem is the availability of the YouTube walkthrough, so that actually you don't have to play the whole game, you can go and watch the rest of it?
But I think that this was a thing back then also. I do think that, yes.
Anyone else? Down at the front here.
Hi. You mentioned Minecraft as an example of a weird successful game.
Yeah.
And I was wondering how much of all this believe in yourself thing is a little bit Paulo Coelho.
Paulo?
How much of it is
the writer?
Yeah, yeah.
I had a dinner with him. Yeah, I know. He's a funny guy, yeah.
What I mean is this.
Paulo Coelho,
yeah.
Yeah. He's a really funny guy, yeah.
Okay, what I mean is this. Isn't Minecraft like 1 in a million? How often does believing in yourself actually pay back? How often is it really successful in the end?
I don't know, but I do believe that believing in what you do, staying with it, keeps the idea fresh and not affected by different ideas of your surroundings. Here's the thing: if you like believe in your vision, then you're gonna stay true to it, and you're gonna stay true. Not only just keeping it the way it is. That's not the thing I'm only talking about. You will be able to question everything during the way and keep it. The problem is you will be surrounded by people saying different stuff. This is it, and this is that, and this is it. And some people will say something that is good for the vision. It's actually easier for you to get feedback when you have a clear vision. So it's easier to like, okay, this will work, this will not work, and so on. But I truly believe it's super important to believe in what you do. Because at the end of the day, it is what it's all about. Because we're working with art and creativity and passion. So I think it's super important. But I can't give you like a 1 out of 10 will success. I don't have a statistic for it or something.
Yeah, I suppose what I'm asking is, we do acknowledge, however, that it is somewhat risky. Even though it's worth it, it's kind of risky, right?
Yeah. Risky or not risky, but if I'm afraid of failing all the time, that's what I tried to say before. If I'm afraid of it, it will affect the vision I'm following. It's better, like, it's logic actually. If you're afraid all the time, if you actually fail, then you can take care of it then. So why being afraid throughout the whole production? I don't see the point. It's just wasting more energy. Like, why? At least save that energy to waste when you actually fail, because it's not as bad to fail as you think actually. I mean, I haven't failed yet, but I mean, I don't know. It's like I don't know why I'm so cocky. I can't help it. It's just come natural.
It's endearing.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Hey, my name's Peter from Game Habitat. Yesterday, Shaban Reddy from Media Molecule shared a quote from a colleague of hers, Barry Mead. He said that all my game dev advice reduces to this: make the best game that doesn't exist in the spirit of the best games you have ever played. How does that sound to you? Is that good advice?
Yeah, it's good, but I would rather say find your own advices. If it fits to you, it's good. I think there are something that makes sense in that, definitely. But I would rather say, I mean, don't even listen to me, what I say, in a sense. It's like, find your own inspiration, find your own wisdom words, find your own ways of making games that will make people inspired. But those kind of things can be good, but just don't get stuck to them, you know what I mean? Because in a way, what that quote is saying also, it's limiting you, because it's saying, do the game that haven't been done before, but that is inspired from a game you really love. That's what I meant. And that's, in a way, a limitation. So it could be good, but it also could be limiting. So, again, questioning.
Thanks.
Thank you. Now the questions are popping up, man. Yeah, exactly.
Josef, I love how confident you are, and I love that you have an idea and you stick to it. So I'm curious to know, to what extent does your employees or the environment at Hazelight contribute to your games?
Oh, a lot. I'm nothing without my team. I mean, what do? I write. I mean, this is like they are coding, they're doing the stuff. So it's super important. It's a collaborative effort, for sure. However, I think it's important to stay clear, because we are all I'm the one that's like, if this is a train, I'm the one that's driving the train. But without it, I'm without the team, I'm nothing. I'm nothing. So it's super important. It's really like a collaboration. But I also have a very clear idea of what to have. I can see when we'll have it in or not in. So for me, it doesn't matter who comes up with the ideas or whatever. As long as they follow the vision, it's super fine. So we have I wish I could show you how Hazelight is. I think many people who come there is quite surprised because the picture of me sometimes in media are different. But we have a lot of fun. Let me tell you that, Asa.
Yeah, we'll be there next week. Me and my
we do. Like, I jump around and I like cuddle with them, and I like, yeah, that's true. Like I hug them. I'm like, come on, you know, like that. So it's very physical. I mean, no, not physical in that sense. It's not like that. Actually, it is, but in a good way. It's very like, this is bad. This is bad. I'm gonna shut this down. Okay. It's a very good relationship. yeah. It's not what it sounds, but it's good.
Cool. Over there.
Last 2 questions.
Speaking of relationships,
Yes.
Is there any specific reason why you always choose to use 2 main characters?
Not really, actually. There isn't. But what I like about, for instance, the latest game with co-op is that it's interesting that people are reacting so much about telling a story in co-op, because when we experience a movie, we love experiencing a story together, like we were near a theater and when you look at a movie. So why not in a game? So I think it's an underestimated genre to create good stories in co-op environments or in multiplayer environments. Like experiencing story together, that's our true nature in a sense. So I would say that that's part of it, but it's also easy when you have 2 characters. You can also create more emotional scenes. You can create dramatic situations between 2 characters. So it also helps the impact of the story of the emotions. Dig deeper into the players. But that's what I love about Way Out. Like I recommend that you play it. Like you have to play with a good friend. Play it from the beginning to the end, and you will see that half of design is actually what goes on in the couch and in the game. That's part of the design as well. Like how do you connect with each other, how you interact, and what you do, what you talk about, and so on and so on. And let me tell you this: A Way Out. Like I know. For some people, many thought this was almost a AAA because it looks quite good, but we are a very small team. We started with 10 people, grow to around 40 developers. Again, 70% were interns, so we did everything in-house. So this was very, very, very hard work for us. And so with more money, we will be able to make even better stuff. And so you will see even more greater games in the future. But I'm not going to talk what it is about, but definitely like more characters are something I feel is not really like, it's our true nature how to experience stories, but we're not using it so much. I'm actually the opposite, quite surprised that people are reacting that, oh, story in co-op, but it should make more sense in a sense.
Yeah.
Yes?
One more?
So you put yourself in opposition to some production traditions in the gaming industry, like what you said.
What's that?
You oppose some traditions of production in the games industry, like what you said about content, about game length, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Do you have a similar strong opposition to expressive traditions in games, like the way games? Like, do you oppose fiercely some of the ways games tell their stories nowadays?
I don't understand.
In a similar way?
I'm sorry, I don't understand the question.
I'll rephrase. So you're a storyteller.
Yes.
And part of your approach is you're trying to change some practices in the games industry through your work, like game.
If I'm trying to change the storytelling?
Yeah. In a similar way to the way you use.
Yes, I just believe, like I said in the beginning of this talk, is that I believe there is way more impact of telling a story in an interactive way than it is in a passive way. And I do believe that games are just there scratching the surface. I want to push the limits and the boundaries and what you can do and how you tell a story in a game. And I truly believe you can take that even further and further and further on. And I think the best way of going is to keep the interactivity, keep the players in control all the time. I mean, yes, that's what I'm going to keep pushing me all the time. I love... hitting people with emotions. I mean, it's to make them feel something. And actually, emotions could be a good multiplayer game as well. It doesn't necessarily have to be, I mean, you have fun, you laugh and stuff like that. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a story game as well. But that's what keeps me going, to tell a good story,
Okay, well, I think we're just about done on time, so I'd like to say thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike. It's
really
great, a pleasure.